Hello, greetings, and welcome to Star Trek Discovery Pod, a sometimes funny, trying to be smart podcast covering all things new and classic Trek. Guess who's coming to dinner? I am your captain, Mariah Gossett. With me on the view screen, we have
Clyde Haynes.
Nice.
Am I an undiscovered host?
I don't know, but I wonder if you contemplate whether I can't say it. To be or not to be, blah blah blah. There we go. In the original Klingon. Haha, so clever. We're back, everyone. We're back. Sorry we've been away for so long.
Have you missed us?
That's right. Obviously, we apologize for being away for so long. Just various things have popped up, so our apologies.
Life happened. We're in between Trek seasons, but tonight we are talking about Star Trek VI Undiscovered Country in honor of our Lower Decks themed trailer to the trailer of Undiscovered Country. You know, the references to references. We figured we revisit it. It had been a while. It's one of the ones we don't talk about very much. There's probably reasons why, but we'll get into it. Just a couple reminders. First, Paul, where can people find us on the internet?
Oh yeah, we haven't done this in a while. Hey guys, consider subscribing to us at Apple, Spotify, or YouTube. All links are at StarTrekPod.co. And if you love, hate our content, but would like to support us regardless, consider joining our Patreon for just $2 per episode at patreon.com/StarTrekPod. $2.
Good time to get in. It's the off season.
I want my $2.
That's right.
You know, we're only podding a couple
times
a month.
Hey!
Until we get more Lower Decks. It's a good time to come join the Patreon. Clyde, for those who are joining us in the live stream and want to talk to us about their opinions about Undiscovered Country, how should they interact in the chat?
We'll put the phone number up on the screen, and you pick up your phone. You dial the rotary. You gotta dial it and then come back and dial it.
You gotta go HOTTOGO.
There you go. And once you'll
wait, you're allowed to say
leave
that?
a message.
You know, there's no what you call a copyright thing, but when I sing anything, it's like podcast, stop that.
No,
I've never said that.
I have not said that. Seriously though, if you want to participate live in the chat and you want to let us know your thought, your musings, your questions, type capital P, capital O, capital D, capital pod in the chat, and we'll take a look at what you're thinking about and considering. And in a moment, we'll say, hey, what's that overarching thought that you have from Undiscovered Country? Then just type capital H, capital F, capital HF in the chat, and we'll take a look at your ponderings.
Indeed. All right, I think it's time to dig into this movie. The screenplay is by Nicholas Myers and Denny Martin Flynn. The story by Leonard Nimoy, Lawrence Connor, Mark Rosenthal, directed by Nicholas Meyer. And I think it is time for, I don't know if these are hot Frakes, because I'm pretty sure we've all seen this movie at least a few times. So I think it's time for some
cold Frake.
It's time for a cold Frake.
Cold Frakes are just timeless.
They're timeless. What was your ponderings on this rewatch?
I remember not liking this movie. And on the rewatch, I actually was like, what was my problem? Because I actually enjoyed it.
Yeah, what was your problem, Clyde?
I don't know. I think at the time I was so into TNG that this kind of felt like why. Right. And so
I can see that. Like there was that overlap, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so going back and looking at it specifically, like, hey, this is classic Trek. This is TOS. It's not competing with anything. I'm just going to sit here and I'm just going to watch it. And I think knowing I've got tons more Trek, I've got tons more movies to choose from. I'm just watching it. It was enjoyable. There were some moments in there that was enjoyable. And, can you really not like something with Kim Cattrall in it? Like, that just seems like a bad idea.
Big Mannequin fan myself.
That's what I'm talking about. People want to talk about Sex and the City, but I'm talking about Mannequin. That's what's up.
Deep cuts there. For those of you who don't know, Mannequin was a romantic comedy
where she played a mannequin.
That's right.
That comes to life.
That's right.
Only when a particular guy saw her when they were alone, she came to life. It was
Yeah.
I mean, in retrospect, it's a bad movie and a bad premise,
Oh yeah, but it's a great bad movie.
it's a great bad movie.
Hey, no,
Mannequin 2 is even. It might be even better. Great.
Oh
bad
man, that's
movie.
the one with
Time
Meshack
travel?
Taylor.
Yeah.
Meshack Taylor is in the is that the one Meshack Taylor's in the Mannequin 2?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's the one where
Oh,
they
man.
like it's like a medieval statue that comes back to life.
Yeah,
I mean, I love a movie about a woman who's just a doll. Like it's just so good. It's so appropriate. It doesn't get old at all. No problem.
Never.
No
No
notes.
problems whatsoever.
No notes. No notes whatsoever.
no.
Paul, what was your hot break?
Actually, you know, like the thing about Mannequin and Star Trek that's interesting is the theme song for that movie is "Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now" by the music group Starship. And we are.
I'm impressed, actually, Paul. Nice weave.
Yeah.
Nice
No,
weave.
it's pretty good. Yeah, like I was watching the movie. I go like, I remember enjoying the movie. I remember thinking it was a poor person's Wrath of Khan, same director, and like, you know, and I kind of felt like he tried the Moby Dick stuff with Wrath of Khan and worked really well, and he just tried to do, you know, the Shakespeare stuff, and it felt. I remember watching it, and it felt a little forced to me in its heyday. Well, when it first came out, and like watching it this time, and I go, I feel the same way. Like I was just really good at, like, you know, seeing how things are. But other than that, it was fine. You know,
Yeah. I also, for some reason, I also had the same thought of like when I first put this on. So here's the other fun thing in my mind. I got this like the number when I was just like, oh, we're gonna watch Star Trek 6. In my mind, I thought we were gonna watch the one with Cybok and like the fan dance and like the drag queen bar.
That's your movie.
And I was
Star Trek
like,
5.
oh yeah, this will be fun. And then I put it on and I went, oh, I severely mixed up a bunch of plot points and put a couple of movies together in my brain. But it was, I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I remembered enjoying it. Like as soon as it actually started, I went, oh, it's this one. And I was like, oh, I remember maybe not liking this one as much, but it still like sung it to me. And I think we can talk about it later, but it felt like just an extended episode of TOS.
Sure. No, I can see that.
Yes.
And I have some theories as to why, but for people who have not seen it, which I don't, perhaps you have not, but just
be careful. It is 37 years old, so like there might be some spoilers.
Spoilers ahead. But the film starts with the destruction of Praxis, the Klingon moon, which Sulu notes is the Klingon Empire's key energy production facility. I did really like the moment when they were like, bring it up on screen, and they're like, we can confirm location but not its existence. And I was like, sometimes that's how I feel, can confirm location but not existence.
Yeah.
I mean, like I love how, like, you know, because humans talk like that all the time.
Yeah, I mean, obviously in the future. But I wanted to, I mean, I first of all love Captain Sulu, and I wish we had really gotten like more Captain Sulu in like other iterations. Like I'm ready for like the Sulu series. You know, it's like we greenlight new series. It made me like really hungry for like the Excelsior.
I wonder if they're books, because I think, you know, to your point, a lot of people felt the same way about Riker, right? Like it was like, oh man, we never really got to see Riker as a captain. And then, you know, I'm one of the 7 people who read, you know, the Titan series, where you got to read about, you know, Riker as a captain. That would be a really good kind of era to see books written about Sulu as captain in the Excelsior. That'd be a good read. I'd read that.
I'd be down.
Well, actually, what you don't realize is that, like, you know, at the end of the movie, I'm jumping ahead a little bit, like when the 2 ships are like, and like the Excelsior, you know,
Veers
goes off the stage, like right after it it gets off screen, there's an antimatter breach and the whole ship blows up.
It's gone.
It's just gone. Oh, interesting. Joe DeVivo says they shot a fan-made Sulu pilot with George Takei.
Wow, I'd love to see that.
I would also love to see that. Does that exist somewhere? Can we do that as a watch along?
Yes.
I would love that. I'll try to do some online sleuthing and see what I can find. We eventually get to this big table, like secret meeting. I call it the xenophobic Starfleet meeting in my notes. But to me, the thing that stood out that was the strangest was the red, white, and blue Starfleet logo on the podium.
Oh.
I didn't catch that.
Yeah,
I was distracted by, why did you invite 20 people in the room when you only needed 5?
Right. Like you just need like the Enterprise crew. So like I guess everyone needs to be briefed on it.
No, but
they didn't even it's just like, I'm just sitting here. Okay, now you're telling me to leave. Great. Okay.
I did love the coffee bar setup though. It's like there's these little things in older movies that I'm like, they don't think about this in other films later. Is like, yeah, it's this big meeting, but then there's just like a table with like a coffee setup. Like it's
I love it. Like but I think I look at it the other way. The meeting that doesn't need to be had is the people who don't need to be there are the Enterprise crew. This was the meeting for the higher ups because they're gonna meet the chancellor, and they could have gotten a call. Go, hey, go pick up some Klingons.
Really,
I think that would so. Anyway, but like
hashtag when an email would have sufficed. Like just.
But it's all good. Like I love it. I love it. Like you come in. It's really of an era, right, where like meetings were a thing in corporate culture. They still are, I suppose. But like like these in-person meetings, it just says, "Hey, here it is. Here's this meeting." The unrealistic thing was the meeting was literally 5 minutes. Like if there was,
Choopy put it could have been an email.
Yeah, like it was one of those things where like of all of a sudden if Putin were coming to like St. Louis, and they had a secret meeting about Putin coming to St. Louis. Like, I can't imagine it'd be a 5-minute meeting.
I feel like there'd be a lot more talk of security protocols and like the eventual place. Like, if I understand, like the transport team can like go, but like, shouldn't there be more discussions of logistics of where this? I mean, I don't need to see that in a movie, so the scene was fine, but it did seem like maybe like, okay, you all can go, and we have more things to talk about.
There's a lot more things to talk about, but no, just
I think
everybody leave.
I think there's like. They talk like about in Star Trek 9. Like, why was there like this is the one where everyone gets younger and blah blah blah. F. Murray Abraham, but like there's this like range, like there's driving part of it, and like there's all these just a whole bunch of stuff. You're like, why is this here? And it turns out like legend has it that like Patrick Stewart wanted like the off-roading stuff, so then you have like these people in motorcycles. So like it was just added onto there, and I feel like. In this movie felt like that kind of looseness in the script.
Well, yeah, I think one of those things that I've been wrestling since I watched it, and so it's been sitting in my head for a week or so, is the inclusion of Warf, which I read was basically the director. It's grandfather, but the idea was they wanted Michael Dorn in the movie, and so they put Michael Dorn in the movie. And then said, hey, it'll be his grandfather. And at the end of the day, I'm just like, and here, I love Michael Dorn. Sure. I absolutely love Michael Dorn. I looked at that and I was like, that was unnecessary. That was like, absolutely unnecessary.
Sounds to me like you are not okay with black actors on screen. Like, here's this working actor, and you're like going, oh, no, I don't know if you should have been there.
I mean, Father of Moog really letting us down.
Yeah. Because all it did is like Warf comes from a line of losers. That's all I showed. Why you disrespecting Warf that way? Father loses like a super important court case. Mom and Pop get killed. Like like just like at some like outpost. Oh my God, Warf. How does Warf ever?
really tragic backstory. What was the Spock's line? The Vulcan phrase of
the old proverb,
only
Nixon can go to China.
only Nixon can go to China.
Uh,
Which I looked up and it was like, yeah, Nixon went to China, but I was like, where did that phrase come from? Was
it's
that
an old proverb? You never know.
So you're telling me if somebody decides to redo this movie, the proverb is going to be only Rodman can go to Korea? Like, is that what we're going to hear?
I hope
could
so.
It could be whatever. But what I did remind me of how when did the movie come out? The 90s, right?
Yeah,
Or like early 90s.
91, I think.
And so like it was just a different time.
Yeah, December 91.
To make movies. It was a different time to just how to go about doing stuff, right? Like, things could be silly, like campy in a way that like 80s movies were kind of amazing because they could be serious and funny and campy all at the same time. And I don't think we've actually found a way we lost the formula for that somehow.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that era and what does it mean to try to do, I think, camp now. And I just went to also go see the John Waters exhibit at the Academy Museum a month or so ago. And and I'm like, what is it? What's the formula that really hits that? And I think it's really got to be lower budget, but true commitment to the bit. You know what I mean? And I think this movie hits on a lot of that, where it is it was a lower budget movie for them. So they ended up reusing, and I think part of the reason it felt almost like an extended television episode was because they reused a bunch of the sets from TNG for this movie. So they are using television sets for the film. And then, but the other thing that still feels so beautiful and looked great on screen is all of the models for all of the space scenes looked excellent.
Yeah, no, they had them.
They look so good. Have y'all seen the new Alien Romulus movie yet?
I have not. I heard it's quite good.
I enjoyed it. No spoilers, but I'll just say they did a lot of model work for the space scenes. And I think it's part of the thing that makes it feel like it's still a part of the franchise in a very authentic way, because it is I think honoring the way that it is shot with the special effects. And so I don't know, it was really refreshing to see this the models and style of movie making. Yeah, because as much as I love 2009, it's that was sort of the this is modern movie making, in the way that was put together. And what's interesting was this script also at some point was supposed to be the Kirk Spock meeting. It was supposed to be a prequel, was the original pitch for this movie when it was in its early days of inception.
Like a flash forward.
Yeah, flash forward.
Flashback,
Yeah, prequel. So it was interesting to see then that it instead was sort of the last hurrah and goodbye for these characters.
Yeah. I always find it interesting. I find this movie and Wrath of Khan, who's the director again? What's his name? Nichols?
Yeah, Nichols.
Because allegedly he didn't really like Star Trek.
Nicholas Meyer.
Yeah.
Yeah, him and Roddenberry didn't get along.
Yeah, and what's funny is what other movies can you think of that he's done, Nicholas Myers?
I mean, I'd have to look. It doesn't ring a. You're not oh, this is
exactly like you say that name. I think Wrath of Khan. And so in that way, I go it's hilarious that
it's not Invasion of the Bee Girls. Come on.
Oh my God.
Jeez, that's terrible.
No, that's great. Oh my, but
yeah, and Vendetta.
V for Vendetta or just Vendetta?
No, just Vendetta from '99.
So it is this kind of thing where he goes, I don't really want to do this, but it becomes the thing. Mm-hmm. So anyway, so only Nixon could go to China.
Only Nixon could go to China. Yes, so back to Kim Cattrall, I will say her introduction on the bridge, from that moment, you're this is a movie star. You know what I mean? Sure. She is such a I guess it's hard to really separate in my mind because she's been so iconic my entire life, but it's just such a very, I feel a commitment to the character. It doesn't feel like she's I can't believe I'm in this silly sci-fi franchise. You know what I mean? It feels like she took it really seriously, and
Well, I mean, I think what's fascinating to me about Star Trek in general is you see this history of fascinating people who man that con station, right? Because she's not the first. I don't think maybe
she's
it's
the
later.
helmsman. Yeah,
The helmsman, but like, what is it? Kirstie Alley
Mhm.
has sat in that seat. Sabrina
Got it.
LaBeouf, who most people know as Sandra from the Cosby Show, has sat in that seat. It's a fascinating, like it's an interesting kind of lineage of like people who get in that chair and take it pretty seriously, even though it's not necessarily like a main character.
Yeah, I do love, like the random kind of guest star that becomes something bigger. Like I remember even like Padma Lakshmi has talked about how she did like one episode of TNG and like right, or Enterprise.
I think it was Enterprise.
But she's like, I still will get fan letters specifically from Star Trek people, and so it's like
I
it's
wonder if
something
The
that
Rock
really
gets
holds.
fan letter from Star Trek people.
The Rock, I hope so.
Because from that Voyager episode, right?
An incredible Voyager episode.
I mean, I think people, I was talking to somebody about this before in relation to like the Abrams verse movies, the Kelvin verse movies, and the polarizing, like, do you like them? Do you hate them? And I'm kind of like, here's the thing. Star Trek fans, there's a core of Star Trek fans who were like die hard, very vocal, like they take it uber seriously. And so once you step into that universe, you're part of it, and you'll be surprised how people, like, you'll have this long history and people will call out. Like if you think about Kirstie Alley, she's had this tremendous career, and her appearance in a Star Trek movie is like big, but people will call it out.
What do you mean, Mr. Savick? That like the prime role.
Yes. That's the biggest thing she's done in her career for sure. Mm-hmm.
Not Cheers, definitely not Cheers.
Definitely not Cheers.
But going back to the movie, I did love like
Veronica's Closet. Was that the show?
Veronica's Closet. That was the show.
That was the show. Yes.
The dinner scene I thought was such a like fun tension. Like to me, that was like kind of the height of the campiness in a lot of this movie. Anything with General Chang, honestly, was just like ridiculousness, because Plummer is just like serving it to you like you're at the back of the theater. You know what I mean? Which I really enjoyed. Also, what blew my mind, the Federation president guy with the crazy white hair.
Yeah.
That's the dad from that 70s show.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
I didn't know that.
I saw his name and I was like, are you kidding me? Like,
I know.
He's been in a ton of stuff.
A ton of stuff.
Yes.
But yeah,
Like
I was
70s
just
show.
like, man, he looks so familiar. And then I looked at the cast list and I was like, whoa, not who I would have thought was doing this, but go off. The dinner scene I thought was like very fun and stupid and great, and also good tension building. I love all the Shakespeare nonsensory of it all. The over drinking of the Romulan ale, the like disgust on Uhura's face as they try to eat whatever was on that plate. It was I don't know. It was fun. It was like the last of the like kind of fun before it got like Inspector Gadget style. We got to figure out what's going on, you know?
Yeah. No.
Yeah, I mean, I always thought the Naomi Campbell thing was a little bit Amon was a little bit weird. Like,
yeah, I was like, I got a whole section on Amon. We haven't even gotten there yet. We got to talk about the fight scene on the Klingon ship.
Yeah, no.
My question is, why weren't there any disruptor rifles on that Klingon ship?
I don't know.
No one had pew pews.
Well, like there's one shot there of like if you look at it, there's one shot where a gun flies out of the holster. So apparently, like when there's no Gary, guns just pop out holsters.
I guess so. No one's got a strap on that holster.
That's right.
I did have some fun facts about those particular scenes. So so like this, I guess like the the production house that was providing the special effects like changed between films, and so there was some like continuity errors, and like the CGI was creating a lot of issues for the Klingon blood, and then the continuity, like most Klingon blood before that had been portrayed as red, but they switched it to that pinky purple color so that they could avoid getting an R rating for the movie.
Oh, I just thought they got like stock in Pepto-Bismol, and and they just
No, they wanted to keep it PG-13.
Love it. Okay,
So they made the blood pink.
like they could have just fired it without blood coming out.
That too. Like it's a phaser. It just like cauterizes, yeah. But I don't know. I was like, was this the era of when like 3D glasses at the movies are big? Because that's what it felt like, that
maybe
when it comes out. I would really love to see a time when Clyde will be BRB. Have you gone to see a movie in 4DX yet?
I have not.
Okay. I went to see Inside Out 2.
Inside Out 2 in 4DX.
Okay, I saw Twisters in 4DX. I love 4DX.
Like Twisters seems like a good place to use 4DX. I don't know, Inside Out 2?
Gran Turismo also very incredible fun in 4DX.
It would be interesting, I think, to take some of these older movies and transfer them into 4DX. Because could you imagine that like anti-gravity scene in like a 4DX? So you're just like there's like wobbling you everywhere.
Oh, that's hilarious.
As Cheapy said, Klingon security is worse than Starfleet's. Yes, it was. It seemed very painfully easy to go kill this diplomat. And we have lots of fun Kirk anti-Klingon rhetoric throughout. I've never trusted Klingons and never will. I've never been able to forgive them for the death of my boy who I only met briefly.
Oh no, it's great. Like they went their movie together, and then they didn't. Then he died.
For those who don't know, because I guess I just saw Cheapy's never heard of 4DX. So a 4DX movie is essentially like if you've ever gone to a theme park where there's like a ride that's like essentially your seat moves and jostles and like they blow air at you and like water and stuff and there's stuff on screen. It's like that, but for an entire movie. How was you saw Twisters? No, you haven't seen Clyde. You haven't seen one yet. I've heard Twisters is really fun in 4DX.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I don't know. I just am like, it could be fun for these. They do those like anniversary screenings all the time. I'm like, what if you really bumped up the anniversary screening and added a 4DX option?
I love it.
What do you think about this like attachment of Kirk's essentially like the hate of Klingons to the death of this like son he barely knew?
I mean, I think that Kirk has always had a disdain for Klingons. If like they were the main nemesis in all Star Trek, the series, and if you remember them, they in the series they're very duplicitous and very untrustworthy, and so that in the and if you remember Star Trek 4, like Doc Brown Klingon, he was not, he was also not a good person. So I can absolutely see why he would hold on to that. Kirk being Kirk.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Kirk, in the fact that he actually has a moment where he goes like, oh, maybe I'm being racist. I go like, oh, good for you.
Yeah, that moment at the end with him and Spock being like, oh, maybe our traditional thoughts are something we have to let go of.
Yeah. But even in they were in prison with McCoy and he goes like, I didn't even think about maybe they were being honest. I go, yeah, you didn't.
Yeah.
Because
you're clinging on, if you will.
Clinging on, love it. And I have to say, I don't want to be that guy, but put myself in Kirk's shoes. I don't know if I'm necessarily embracing the Klingons because from the TOS days, they are not the same Klingons that you would see in in Next Gen. they're not so honor bound and all that stuff. Like, it's not. There was a shift that happened. So,
I mean, I don't know. It's like, do you think all humans are bad just because one human was bad to you?
no, I think all humans are bad because all humans are bad. Like,
Probably true.
and basically I go, I don't think humans are good because one human was good to me. Holy crap! That's like saying like, oh, all alligators are nice because one alligator was nice to me. That's not, don't do that.
I mean, I was explaining to someone the other day, they have like a very deep like fear of sharks. They had just gone on this like beach vacation. And I was just like, oh, I was like, yes, if you're in water, you're probably going to be around a shark. But I was like, if you start to think of sharks as just like a dog you don't know, they become a lot less scary, because it's like, if it's a dog you don't know that you just see on the street, you're like, I'm going to keep my distance. I don't really know this dog. And if they come towards you, you want to keep facing them. You want to misdirect them. You want to, make sure they're not doing anything to you. You kind of do the same thing with the shark.
Well, like let me put like I like that analogy. In my mind, let me make it a little more like, imagine a dog that is coming towards you that you don't know, but in this world, all dogs can fly really fast and have like vampire teeth, and they can range in size from like the size of your arm to the size of like a Tesla, or more, like depending on how great, or in this case white, the shark is.
Yes.
Like, and they have a history of like, really enjoying blood.
Yes, but you're not traditionally food, so they're just curious. They want to know if you're food.
Maybe, but like, but that's how. And then you say to this person, okay, here is this flying car-sized dog swimming up to you. Maybe
yeah, you just bop it on the nose and you redirect it.
That's right. Just bop it on the nose. It's flying. Anyway, that can smell blood from miles away. Yeah. I can see how your friend would be at ease. Like, I'm sure she'd be like, "Oh, thanks." Like, I wasn't worried about that before, but now look, like, like I'm so calm.
So calm. Speaking of sharks, we could talk about this courtroom scene. With Warf, not Warf in there. I mean, I do love a classic courtroom scene in a Trek moment, but anything in your mind that stuck out to you as something you particularly enjoyed?
Don't wait for the translation. Answer me now.
That was a good one.
Oh, wait. I mean, Paul, part of the reason we postponed our episode was because you said you were going to give us the speech in Klingon.
Oh, that's right. Like, I did.
Yeah.
Pluck.
I said that.
Yeah.
I don't have it. Like it turns out that like I don't speak Klingon. I did do some research.
And you didn't spend the week learning all of the phonetic pronunciation?
I went into ChatGPT to try to help me like sound it out. Didn't help. But like, like to be or not, like there is no actual word for to be in the Klingon language.
But they said you got to hear it in its original Klingon.
Yeah. I think it translates to like some form of continue or continue not. That's the direct translation. Or it actually like, yeah, bay is the negative. Like, so basically you're saying this or this negative, So I was doing work.
I believe you.
Yeah. I was trying.
A business meeting. That's why we had to reschedule.
Basically, I can't. Where was I? Like basically someone took me out to eat. And I can't remember who took me out to eat now. Oh, wait, actually, I know exactly where it was. So there is this restaurant called Odium in LA that is going to close like Sunday. And there I got, a very large tomahawk steak.
Welcome back to food truck.
Yeah. What was weird was they were serving these hot dogs without any condiments.
Oh, classic Kirk.
And
You know-
they called it like, basically the Kirk special.
We try to bring in like peanut hamster in every episode. I'd be curious how many episodes we do where we don't actually talk about food. Like
I
it
don't
really
think
is-
there is an episode that
Well,
goes
I
by
think
where we
there
don't
is.
talk
No,
about
gotta
food.
be
I think
food
I
truck.
think I think the odds go remarkably up if I'm not on the episode.
I don't think that's the case.
I think
we
it
still talk
still
about food.
hits. I think it still
Oh,
hits.
good,
In
good.
your honor, we
Oh,
make
good,
sure
great,
we
great.
have
Yes.
a food moment.
This
It's
is the
the
Star
Paul
Trek
s-
pod.
the
Well,
Paul
Our
snack
pod
pod.
is yes, our pod is on the Food Network. If we
well,
that's
like
that's where it's at.
when I was in Australia, my wife and I, we wrote a restaurant guide for the city of Perth. This was before the internet and Yelp had taken big, and we have a few copies. So if someone wants one, the restaurant guide, it is
Mail
the
your check in for $9.99 plus
like,
shipping.
we can give it away as a prize or for
Mhm.
something, but like it is called Paul Eats Perth. And
Okay.
if
I
you're
think-
back if you're in Perth, Australia, back in 2006, it is the definitive guide. So if you have some time travel thing, in fact, it's the only guide.
The
So-
only guide.
That's the reason why we made it, was because like there was no food guides for the city of Perth at the time.
Interesting.
So yeah, so if you want to, if you go back in time, it will be very helpful.
Well, we do have Charlie, who is one of our patrons who actually lives in Australia. And I feel like we should maybe send her a copy just because she's the
Ooh.
closest.
Oh, sure. Like
I like that
We'll
idea.
figure it out. But we can also do a drawing. How many copies do you have?
I have a few in the garage, but I could say
Few. He means boxes.
yeah, I do actually. I do. Like we self-published, and well, suffice it to say, we lost money.
All right. Well,
look,
we'll send a couple out.
Yeah, I think I could get round up 10.
Okay. We'll do a drawing from our patrons for a random guide to Perth from 2006.
See? There you go. For $2 an episode, you can enter the drawing.
to get a Paul Eats Perth collector's item.
Collector's item. I think I could probably scrounge up some other Trek memorabilia I have from like
You
Comic-Con
guys,
and
I
stuff.
might
Yeah.
actually have a copyright. You guys continue.
Okay. While you were gone, Clyde, we were talking about the court scene and if there's any moments in particular
Oh.
that stood out for you.
I heard every word you guys said.
Oh, great. Oh
While
no.
I was trying to. Oh my goodness. We are off the rails, people. No, I think that the court scene. I love a good court scene, but I think some of my favorite court scenes of all time are the Klingon court scenes
Mhm.
because they're so different. And
They're like rowdy. I love the like huge audience,
huge.
and that it
Yes.
spans and goes all the way up. It's very intimidating,
It's like, what if law was like sports?
Yes. It's an arena.
It's an arena. Like
They're
it's
really like spectate justice.
that's exactly it. And
Yeah, I can't find
it's
it.
almost participatory. It's like,
Mhm.
hey, I'm in the courtroom. See, like an American courtroom, it's always about order in the court. If you don't settle down, I will put you in jail. Klingon court is like,
Get your chance ready. It's like a soccer game.
And here's the deal, they're all armed, and at any moment there's just gonna come like a Klingon dagger coming through. Like you gotta keep that head on a swivel because they're all around you. It is a gladiator event.
Yeah.
That is the law, the Klingon law. Like it's
I don't know,
fascinating.
like trial by combat. I think that would
Mhm.
that's
It is surprising they don't have more trial by combat, but I appreciate that the Klingons have a sense of justice. I do always think it's so funny though when like the very Western ideal of what a court, like there's still the beats of a court case
Mhm.
there.
Mhm.
Like there's the arguments and there's like they're throwing stuff out. There's all of these things that are so like centered in like specifically American court, right?
Mhm.
because I remember being so fascinated watching, what was that movie that everyone, The Fall, right, that came out last year that was up for a bunch of awards, and it takes place in France, and it's like this French courtroom kind of drama, and it's very dramatic, and it was an interesting watch. And so recently I just watched the new Planet of the Apes movie that just came out on
Kingdom of the Apes.
Yeah, that one. And I always think it's interesting when we think about societies that do exist outside of our own that are still so structured like what we live in. You know, it's like, what would it take to fully reimagine how like democracy and leadership and justice and like all of these things are structured in a way that's outside of what we think of culturally.
I don't know, I wonder if if like there were these like time traveling ancient Greeks go like, oh, look at us. They all just copy our idea of what justice is. They can't
They can't come up with anything else.
2,000 years. They can't come up with anything else.
Right. Like, I don't know. It would be interesting to like an interesting thought exercise to try to be like, what would it still look like to come to the conclusion of justice, but not use anything that looks like an American court system. Right.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think I think a lot of it could be done with like TOS technology, where like there was this episode where Scotty was framed for like murder or something.
Mm-hmm.
And basically you put your hand on the thing and it's a lie detector and you can say, did you do it? Nope. Okay, you're out.
Bye-bye. Yeah, it's also like everything seemingly is recorded, you know, in some way.
Sure.
Well, obviously these Kirk and McCoy do not make it through, so they get sent to this worker colony, penal colony, where it's really cold outside, and they run into Martia, who is played by Amon, who is so fun and campy and wild, and like those contact lenses are crazy. And she transforms into a lot of different creatures. And then also somehow still makes out with Kirk, which I was like, there's gotta always be a space babe. I wonder if it's in the contract.
I mean, I think to me, the idea is, hey, you're in this colony. There's one babe, one woman. That's not weird to you? That we saw, but that's not weird to you? Kirk.
But she makes the
It's
point.
not a colony, it's a penal
It's a penal colony, but she also says that like they don't allow a lot of women to do like work shifts, and so it's like is it
in
just
that part of the mine?
Well, and she was essentially sent. I don't even know if she was really there as part of the penal colony, or she was just like sent down there to tempt Kirk to get him.
No, I think there was a deal like to help to do that, so they get out. I don't know. You know, like, not to be like super woke about this, but I don't know if a man's a woman in this movie.
Amon is actually that, and that was just what she chose to show.
Yeah,
up
I mean,
as.
like
yes,
yeah. What is the true? Yeah, what is her true form?
I assume the true form was not a humanoid female. Is what my assumption was.
It's probably the big fuzzy guy that she was in the elevator,
or not even that. Like, you know, like it could be Odo-esque. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll be interested because the Section 31 movie has Sam Richardson is playing the same kind of species as Amon in that movie, and so I'll be interested to see if they like explore that more. Like, what is his true form?
Like,
we do get her to transform into Kirk. So how do you decide which Kirk is the real Kirk?
Shoot them both.
That's what that Klingon should have done.
Yes. Boom, boom.
Both I love the trope of the villain telling you the whole plan before they shoot you.
Yes.
It is classique.
Yeah.
I mean, it definitely has this feel of like, I've never seen a movie with a villain in it before. Because they go, let me tell you how this whole thing started. Because you're going to die. I feel a need to waste time by explaining all of the criminal activity I did for you and anyone else here who's listening. Yes.
Let's do it.
Like, do you know of an example of like let's take the Zodiac Killer, for example. You know, they still haven't caught me, by the way. But like, you know, but there, you know, you leave messages, right? Because there's some aspect that wants the recognition. If you're like, and so in this way, like, I don't want to be this way, and so please, I don't want to overstep. But if there were one of us three were to have, say, villain energy, I think a lot of people will say me. So,
Okay.
so I would say, like, monologuing, like, as much as I talk.
You
in
wouldn't
Paul's play-
monologue your plans.
No. Like, what kind of psycho villain would you have that didn't monologue? Oh my god! Like, what the hell? That'd be crazy. That guy would be crazy. Like, you know, you would. Oh my god, you would not want to. You know,
You've
that
killed Clyde.
I know that person is not safe.
You almost
I
made
gotta-
Clyde do a spit take.
I got a lot of electronics around me.
That was very dangerous. That was
about to
villain
be a-
energy right there.
That was about to be a bad night. I tell you, if you're listening to the pod and you're like, "What just happened?" It's like 115 degrees in Southern California, and I've got this huge glass of ice water that I've been sipping on all night. And I take a sip, and then Paul says, "What kind of psycho would not monologue?" And I'm trying not to spit this ice cold water all over my electronic devices.
You know, classic Paul.
Yes.
What would you say to someone trying to shoot you to make them shoot the other version of you?
That guy.
That guy. That's right. Like,
Or how would you, let's say it was someone who you did like wants to shoot the imposter. What would you say to make them know that you are you?
I don't know. Like, B and I have a code word and various things in case that there are doppelganger type things.
I love that.
But the problem is like one of us takes this more seriously than the other, and so
I wonder who.
there would be problems, you know.
Yeah.
there would be problems. So, but I think ultimately, like, I would probably say something scathing that like only I would know about something.
Yeah.
Because like yeah, like don't mess this up
Don't mess
again.
this up. That's Paul.
That's right.
He's like, please don't let this be a repeat of that time where you totally screwed it up by doing this. And then you put them in a dilemma of, well, that's clearly Paul, but do I shoot him for being a jackass?
Yeah. No, but I think I'm always on the cusp with most of my close relationships. It's like, well, like, you know, I love this person dearly, but eject.
The eject button. We eventually find out it is a pretty large group of people that are trying to have a conspiracy theory against lasting peace between the Klingons and the Federation. We have the big search around the entire ship. We have Uhura. The thing that took me out the most was, you're telling me Uhura doesn't know enough Klingon to get past those guards without using Universal Translator?
Well, yeah, apparently.
It really felt like a disservice to her. I feel like
I agree.
I felt very out of character, and I didn't like it.
But like in Star Trek 5, when she's naked dancing with those feathers, complete Uhura.
100%.
That's right.
She loves to sing and dance. That's canon.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, it felt like, again, from a script standpoint, like there was a joke that they wanted to tell, and so it was like, who are the people around here where we can tell a joke? And let's do that.
I mean, and per usual, always Uhura underwritten in everything. I'm
not Star Trek 5.
Yeah. I always like when we get more of her. I liked that the phasers going off was our clue that it was Lieutenant Valeris.
One second. Just the great thing about the Enterprise is that the kitchen also seconds as an armory.
Yeah, that was news. Also, what were they cooking in that pot that when the pot disappeared, it just stuck there? Like those have to be the most solid mashed potatoes I've ever seen in my life.
Like it's pretty cool. Like phasers actually destroy a lot of things, but not starches.
Definitely not starches, just metal pots.
Just the pot goes, but the stew is just now on the floor. I don't know how it
Just
works.
on the floor. That's how that works. The mind meld scene was pretty intense between Valaris and Spock. I thought that was, I don't know, very interesting.
That to me is one of the scenes that if before the rewatch, if you had said, name a few scenes that automatically stick out in your head from not having seen this in a decade, that's one that would have stuck out, because it wasn't just the mind meld. It was like the invasive, like a painful mind meld where she's like screaming at the end. It was like, whoa, okay, man. Like
dug in that brain.
A little too much. Like, can you get a little consent there first, please?
It was intense. I do like when we get eventually to the big, well, we have our space battle-ish where it's like the invisible ship and they have to follow the plasma, and we get some space pew-pews.
I did like that.
Clyde loves some space pew-pews. And then when we get to the big chamber where the big meeting is happening and there's the sniper and all of this stuff, and eventually, everyone is like, here are the culprits trying to stop peace. The thing that makes me laugh the most is the slow clap.
No, it's so good. It's so good.
I was just like, why are we clapping?
Because they saved the day.
I don't know. Oh, this is a fun question from Cheapy. What Easter eggs from the movie do you think will be in Lower Decks this season?
Like one of the things that I've always had a problem with like there are various episodes of Trek that basically go, hey, here is technology that would radically change the whole tapestry of the universe. Never mind. and so like a Klingon bird of prey that can fire when cloaked is like crazy.
That is a game changer.
Like that, it's like, and I totally believe that like it can be done.
That would be a fun plot point for Lower Decks this season.
Yes.
Exactly. Like I was thinking like, oh, what from Undiscovered Country really could be there? Maybe Iman species, but like,
yeah, I mean, I think there's something to they've done a court episode, but they haven't done like a Klingon court episode. I do remember seeing there's a lot of Klingons this season, so I think we'll be getting some more Klingons based on the previews, but again, could just be literally the first episode. You never know with these previews. I do think it would be fun. The cloaked bird of prey that can fire is a good one. I also think like a conspiracy as far as like a B plot that maybe the A team is taking care of, that's like trying to dispel a peace treaty of some kind is pretty classic. And then maybe we get oh gosh, I just blanked on our Vulcan's name on Lower Decks. That's played by Gabrielle Ruiz.
Oh, the new one.
Yes.
Now you have me blanking on it.
It's okay. Anyway, but maybe she does a really intense mind meld on someone that could be kind of interesting.
That's right, because like cartoon mind rape, not a problem. No problem. To Lynn, thank you, Chupi.
To Lynn, yes.
Oh my gosh.
Not a problem whatsoever.
I mean, obviously a problem. Maybe maybe the joke is she's like, I'm going to mind meld with you now. Is that okay? And the person's like, yes. And they're just like,
maybe
that feels very Lower Decky.
Maybe she gets written consent.
Yeah, she does.
Before they mind.
Holds up the pad. Can you sign here, please?
There's some type of, mind meld prophylactic that they use or something.
Yeah, it could be interesting.
I took that joke too far, didn't I?
Yes, you did, but I was going to just walk right past it for you, Clyde.
Thank you.
um, I also think it would be interesting to see if there's some conflict between Mariner and Boimler, perhaps over like maybe Boimler has some like unprecedented thoughts and feelings about Klingons, and we know Mariner has some friends, and so perhaps it's like kind of the reverse there, where Boyms is being a little Kirk-like.
Like if I had to guess, if I had to if this is being the last seasons,
Mhm.
right? So I could tie in what you call it, the cloak ship
Mhm.
and Section 31 Boimler.
Mm.
You know, and I can imagine like there's a switcheroo
And
there.
then at the very end, the person driving is Peanut Hamper.
There you go. Boom.
Done, son.
Or as like Clyde said earlier this episode, Peanut Hamster.
Peanut Hamster. You did say Peanut Hamster.
My bad.
I also let that slide for you.
Thank you.
Anything
Been a long
else
day.
about this movie, y'all? I mean, it was a fun rewatch. We
Yeah.
can figure out what we're gonna watch next.
Like you know, completely not associated with Star Trek, but like I just recently rewatched Armageddon.
Oh,
yeah, and like aside from a very like throw
the
up
animal cracker scene.
except for
The
that
animal
scene,
cracker.
except for that
The
scene,
Serengeti.
the movie is pretty solid and it holds up. But that scene makes me want to put a gun into my mouth and play Russian roulette, but fire 6 times. It's so bad.
So bad.
So bad. It's like the
It's
chef's
burned
kiss.
into my brain
It's
how
like
bad
the chef's
it is.
kiss of bad. Like you know, it's like when humans almost went extinct because of an ice age, and then
It was due to that scene.
And then it's like that's the level of how bad it was.
The thing about it is that movie is a great movie.
It is.
That scene is like, first of all, and the biggest issue I have with that scene is it went on way too long.
But that's why it's the chef kiss of bad scenes.
Like it's like, oh my goodness, I don't know if I look at an animal cracker the same ever again.
Like I don't know if I could look at people the same. Like you know, like it's terrible to the actors. It's abuse to the actors. It's abuse to the audience. OMG! Like it was like I was like, oh wow, I am a survivor. Because when I watched this, I got through it, and it just shows the testimony of how like solid Armageddon is. Anyway.
No, it's great. I one of my favorite parts.
Armageddon to be Armageddon.
Yes. There's a part where Harry Stamper shows up at AJ's his new place, and he goes, I thought you said there's not a job on this planet. He said that you'd never work. He goes, AJ, there's not a job on this planet that I'd work on you with. Come on. I'm like, I kind of dug that moment. It's like a good moment.
No, it's all good. It's all really good. Like it's slightly racist, like with a soft, like with a lowercase r, with all like the, but it's not so bad. Like it's just.
Oh my gosh, Choopy's never watched Armageddon. Oof.
So I think I watched Deep Impact and Armageddon within.
They came out the
same
year.
Year. Yeah.
They came out the same year. Deep Impact, Téa Leoni.
Yeah, no.
Armageddon. I mean, Bruce Willis. Like it's a.
Bruce Willis and Téa Leoni are the same person.
No.
It was that era. We got like Deep Impact, Armageddon, and then it was like what was the Day After Tomorrow? Like we had a bunch of the big disaster movies. Yeah. They all love coming out in triplicate.
Uh-huh.
But, this is a fun rewatch. We'll find something to watch next. There's a suggestion to watch the Klingon lawyer episode from Enterprise.
Klingon lawyer episode Enterprise. Like, I know there's a episode. I'll look at that, but there's an episode, a good Warf episode that like lawyer in Deep Space Nine, where Warf is accused of like killing civilians.
Interesting.
It's more like an arraignment hearing than an actual.
Yeah, we can figure out something something fun. Maybe I'll rewatch the Lower Decks trailer and see if there's another Easter egg that feels like it would be worth a watch for. So,
yep.
But we appreciate all your suggestions. Feel free to drop them into the Patreon Slack. We would love to hear what you would like to hear us
talk about.
I was like, to hear us watch? No, hear us talk about. And Lower Decks season 5 comes out on October 24th. So we still have a couple of weeks here of some interlude content to bring y'all. We appreciate your support. And we will see you all next time. Live long and prosper, y'all.
Later, y'all. Bye.